Now at 5, voters in Orinoco will decide whether to sell the city's natural gas utility.
President Biden says the U.S. is back at the table, joining other world leaders in combating climate change. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House with more from the conference in Scotland.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The city of Orinoco, Missouri is asking residents to approve the sale of its natural gas system tomorrow. This is KOIM News at 5. Voters in Orinoco will decide whether to approve the sale of the city's natural gas system to Spire for $620,000. One of the reasons the city wants to sell the utility is maintenance costs, but the city faces other challenges.
With the increased regulations, increased training, Spire is a large corporation. They're in most of the communities surrounding us, and with their expertise and ability, it will cut down the workload on our public works officials.
Tonight at 6, we'll hear more from the mayor and from Spire on what the sale could mean for the city and residents. City of Joplin and Freeman Health System officials today announced the theme of this year's Christmas parade, Cruisin' to Christmas. This will be the 51st annual Joplin Christmas Parade, though last year's parade was canceled because of the pandemic. The parade route will be the same as in years past, starting at 15th and Main and ending at 3rd Street.
We are so excited. I know people really missed the parade last year. It's just an annual tradition that's very near and dear to many people's hearts. So to be back and have hundreds of people along the main street of Joplin, it feels really, really good.
The parade's going to start at 6 p.m. on December 7th. Nick Kelly, kind of chilly out there.
Not only that, Dow, plenty of cloud cover and rain chances. A complete 180 compared to how great our weekend has been that we just wrapped up. But this is what we had to contend with today. A lot of cloud cover, wet rows from 7th and Range Line, and still a band of rain working through. The heaviest of the rain, it's only moderate, but located south of Nevada and just in the north of the I-44 corridor. These are scattered showers that will continue for a portion of the evening. We'll get maybe a bit of a break in the action overnight, but as one upper wave moves on out, we got another upper wave that'll want to keep rain chances in the forecast, at least in the short term. And as far as temperatures go, it's rather cool. Lower in the middle 40s out there already at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. The clouds and the rain chances will hold us steady in the lower to middle 40s for much of this evening. And even though we'll get a break in the rain chances tonight, Dow, it's going to be a cold start with upper 30s to near 40. We'll see when these rain chances in the clouds will clear on out in just a bit.
Catch you then. President Biden joined leaders from around the world in Scotland and called on them to take swift and decisive action to combat climate change and to address its effects on the planet. Skyler Henry reports from the White House.
President Biden addressed world leaders in Glasgow, Scotland, calling for immediate action to tackle climate change.
We can keep the goal of limiting global warming to just 1.5 degrees Celsius within our reach if we come together.
The president previewed the U.S.'s long-term strategy for achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050, which, among other things, includes transitioning to clean energy systems like solar and wind power.
We're planning for both short-term sprint and for a marathon that will take us to the finish line.
The White House wants to include more than $500 billion to combat climate change in its spending bill that's still being negotiated in the Senate.
It's about jobs. It's about workers who will lay thousands of miles of transmission lines of a clean, modern, resilient power grid.
President Biden has sought to convince other world leaders the U.S. will lead the world in combating climate change and apologize for past actions he says set the country back.
I do apologize for the fact the United States, the last administration, pulled out of the Paris Accords and put us sort of behind the eight ball.
During the summit, leaders from Australia, India, and Canada detailed ambitious plans to cut carbon emissions.
We must demonstrate how we'll deliver on the promise of Paris with transparency and accountability.
Some of the biggest contributors to carbon emissions, including Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia, are not in attendance. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
China and Russia, the largest and fourth largest emitters of greenhouse gases, have both been saying they have plans to be carbon neutral by 2060, the same date President Biden has set for the U.S. to be carbon neutral. The U.S. Supreme Court today heard arguments on the new Texas abortion law, which bans abortions in the state as early as 6 weeks after conception. Two conservative justices, Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, voted in September to allow the law to take effect, but they raised questions today about its novel structure. Abortion providers and the Biden administration say that law was intentionally designed to try to evade federal review. Police and witnesses say a man dressed in a Joker costume and brandishing a knife stabbed at least one passenger on a Tokyo commuter train and started a fire. Some people scrambling to escape the attack jumped from the train's windows. The Tokyo Fire Department says 17 passengers were injured, including 3 seriously. The 24-year-old suspect reportedly told police he wanted to kill and get the death penalty. Authorities in Nigeria say at least 3 people are dead and dozens are missing after a 21-story building collapsed in an upscale neighborhood of Lagos. Still unclear how many people were in the building when it fell. So far, 3 survivors have been pulled from the rubble. Still ahead, turning bread into booze.
Tackling food waste. I'm Michelle Medina with how a California company is turning baked goods into vodka.
And next in Health Watch, the CDC could grant approval of vaccinations for young kids as soon as tomorrow.
Winter is right around.
Topping today's Health Watch, the American Academy of Pediatrics says nearly 6.3 million children in the U.S. have tested positive for COVID-19 since the beginning of the pandemic. In a new report, they found more than 1 million cases were added in just the last 6 weeks, and children make up a quarter of weekly cases. We could see COVID-19 vaccinations in the arms of younger children later this week. The FDA gave the authorization for ages 5 to 11 last week, and the CDC could give the final green light as soon as tomorrow. While some parents are preparing to vaccinate their children, others are hesitant. Reporter Anthony Puro has more.
The Rosenzweigs cannot wait for the entire family to be protected against COVID-19.
I remember the extreme excitement over getting vaccinated, and then all of a sudden it kind of hit me that my kids weren't going to get vaccinated.
David and Elliot are among 28 million children ages 5 to 11 that could be eligible as soon as this week.
That way, I can get with my friends more.
Some parents are hesitant. One survey shows less than 1 in 3 parents will have their children get the COVID vaccine right away. Another third will wait and see. Dr. Corey Cross is an American Academy of Pediatrics spokesperson.
I hear your concerns, and I love that you worry about your child. And I think that talking to your pediatrician will help you to work through those concerns.
While children are less likely to get severe COVID, thousands of children have been hospitalized. Pfizer's lower dose vaccine was found to be 91% effective. No serious side effects have been detected in about 3,100 children 5 through 11.
For parents who tell me that they don't know the long-term risks of the vaccine, I would say we also don't know the long-term risks of COVID. We really have to weigh the risks and benefits of everything.
That includes the impacts children have endured with education, activities, and mental health.
They are still bearing the brunt of what happens when COVID spreads through their community. So to that extent, it's really important to get children vaccinated.
You always are nervous when you're giving your child a vaccine, and I think that this is our way out of the pandemic.
For the Rosenzweigs, the vaccine is how their family finally gets back to normal. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Now, rarely, some teens and young adults have experienced a serious side effect of myocarditis or heart inflammation. U.S. health authorities concluded the vaccine's benefits outweighed the risk of this uncommon side effect. There's new guidance for parents to help prevent mistakes when giving medicine to their kids. Research shows more than 80% of errors involve liquid medication, with doses deviating 20% or more from what doctors prescribed. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends using more precise oral syringes for young children and says doctors need to make medication regimens as simple and straightforward as possible. Not sleeping enough might make you irritable, tired, and anxious, but a new study finds it can also affect how you walk. Brazilian researchers studied the waking and sleeping patterns of college students. After some of the students pulled an all-nighter, they were asked to walk to a beat on a treadmill, but had difficulty keeping rhythm. Researchers say walking, while once believed to be a fully automated process, is actually influenced by the brain. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, American becomes the latest airline to cancel hundreds of flights over a few days.
Plus, we have a few more days of rain chances to subtract before we clear things out and warm back up. Full forecast up next.
Shelter in website below.
Talk about a complete 180 after we had a pretty good Halloween and a good Sunday overall weather-wise. We brought the clouds, we brought the rain, and we brought some unseasonably cold air back into the picture as we kick off the first day of November today and the new work week and school week, especially for the kids. After topping out in the upper 50s to lower 60s yesterday, we dropped into the lower 40s this morning. And the best we could do so far was 45 at Joplin Regional. Quite a drop in temperatures because of an upper level wave working in from the northern plains with its arrival. We also saw cloud cover and rain chances certainly pick up late this morning and carrying on throughout the course of the afternoon. Haven't seen a big accumulation of rain yet, but we are seeing some pockets registering about a trace to about almost a quarter of an inch of rain. But this is just our first batch of rain in terms of our rain chances for the next few days rolling on through. But even with that being the case, none of this rain is particularly heavy. We're not expecting thunderstorms out of these. We're certainly not going to worry about that, thankfully. But the heaviest of the rain that I see on the board right now is in southwestern Missouri, south of Stockton Lake. So we're going from Lamar over the Greenfield down to Halltown, Mount Vernon, Carthage, Joplin, Neosho, Milnette. That's where the light to moderate rain is more prevalent at this time. It's certainly resulting in some wet roads from 7th and Range Line from the east side of Joplin. 43 in Joplin with an east breeze at 5. And with these numbers holding steady, the high humidity and the dew points near 40, gives you an idea. Temperatures don't have much wiggle room in terms of cooling down for the rest of the night. So right now we're in the lower to middle 40s across the entire region. We're going to stay mainly in the lower 40s for the rest of the evening. And during the overnight, I'm thinking only upper 30s to near 40 degrees as we get a little bit of a break in the rain chances. But this stubborn cloud cover, it's going to hang tough, not only for tonight, but as we go through the next few days. Not because of anything at the surface. We actually have high pressure being a contributing factor in terms of temperatures, keeping things a bit cooler than normal. But it's the jet stream that's really keeping things in play here. We've got one upper wave passing through. Then we've got this bundle of energy coming out of California. That's the one that'll keep rain chances around for tomorrow and going into Wednesday. So let's time everything out for you here. Going through the rest of the evening, we're going to back things down to a few showers by midnight. Then I'm thinking generally cloudy but dry weather for your Tuesday morning to start things out. But you can see how we drop back into the upper 30s to near 40. And even with the clouds holding firm and rain chances returning by the afternoon tomorrow, we just don't see much of a bump in temperatures. So we're going to keep things pretty cool. 40 in the morning, 45 by noon. I think 48 is the best we can do with a light east breeze during the day at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I think our better shot for rain comes Tuesday night and the Wednesday morning for a good portion of the area. But as the second wave departs, we're going to see the rain chances taper off throughout the day on Wednesday, and that should finally allow upper 40s to near 50 with a little more sunshine to roll on in. In terms of additional rain amounts, not seeing too much, maybe another 1/10 to a quarter of an inch on the average. So we were not too concerned about being inundated with so much rain, but these again, rain chances we'll have to contend with until we get things out on Wednesday. Until then, we stay in the upper 40s for each afternoon. 51 Thursday, 55 on Friday. And while we do turn mild going into the weekend now, I want to bring your attention to Thursday and Friday morning. Lower to middle 30s. That could be our first chance for frost and maybe a light freeze for some.
Definitely want to keep an eye on that. Thanks, Nick. Coming up, some tips on finding a reliable contractor to repair a broken heater. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Harold Dice served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 1945. The Fredonia, Kansas native was stationed in Germany and received a Purple Heart. And we salute Private First Class Harold Dice, a four-state hero.
Doug Hetty has earned the End Up in Range line.
Topping today's Consumer Watch, as the temperatures drop, a lot of us are turning on our heaters and in some cases maybe finding them broken. Well, the Better Business Bureau has some tips to help with the search for a contractor to fix those heaters. The Bureau recommends researching a company's background and licensing. Also, the BBB advises getting at least 3 cost estimates for any work and consider when you schedule the service.
Also ask too, before you go ahead and you order any kind of service, whether it's a weekday or a weekend call, see if there's a price difference. Sometimes heating and air conditioning contractors, or even people who are doing your furnace and servicing that, they will actually charge extra for a weekend call if you're not specific, and if you're not calling and scheduling a call and it's just an emergency call.
Another tip, review the warranty on your furnace to see if repairs are still covered. More frustrations for American Airlines travelers. The airline has canceled another 250 flights after several days of cancellation. Since Friday, about 1,900 flights have been canceled as American has dealt with weather issues and staffing shortages. The company says it's being proactive to minimize inconvenience. 3 weeks ago, Southwest Airlines canceled more than 2,000 flights over several days because of weather and air traffic control issues. Holiday shopping is expected to shatter records this year. According to the National Retail Federation, spending is projected to reach as high as $859 billion. That would be a double-digit increase over last year. The average consumer is expected to shell out nearly $1,000 on gifts and other holiday items. The retail tracker predicts people will spend more than $600 on gifts for family, friends, and coworkers. About 40% of all food in the U.S. ends up in a landfill. Well, now a California distillery is turning that would-be waste into cocktails. Reporter Nichelle Medina has more on the sustainable spirit.
Whit Regali never expected to be making vodka, let alone helping ease the nation's food waste problem.
For the most part, anything in a grocery store or bakery aisle, we can turn to vodka.
In 2017, Regali, a bartender, and his partner Samuel Shareskin, an agricultural economist, had an idea some considered half-baked: take old bread products and turn them into vodka.
Baked goods is just a resource like anything else. It's made from starches and sugars, which are the building blocks to making all alcohol. And so that was really our light bulb moment.
The company, called Misadventure Vodka, gets a load of more than 1,000 pounds of bread products from a San Diego food bank. Most items are past their expiration date, but still usable. Each bottle of vodka produced keeps about 2 pounds of food out of a landfill. The concept is part of a growing trend called upcycling, transforming food waste into ingredients for new products. Rise Flour, a New York-based company, created a flour crafted from beer. Toast ale is brewed with surplus bread that would otherwise be tossed out. Misadventure Vodka claims to be the first carbon-negative spirit in the world.
With our process, some of the vanilla extracts come through, and so there's a subtle sweet note with that vanilla.
That taste is served up in cocktails at the company's tasting room. Customer Walt McCalma says the brand offers a unique flavor.
This gives a whole new meaning to drinking responsibly.
That's a really good way to put it. I feel good about drinking it. I feel like I'm doing it, being a steward to the environment.
Misadventure mostly sells online, but is hoping to expand the operation and help change the planet one sip at a time. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, Vista, California.
A final check of the forecast next.
In Joplin.
Up next on the CBS Evening News, New York City's vaccine mandate takes effect today. Then on KOAM News at 6, Joplin police released the name of the suspect who was shot by police over the weekend. Plus, we're going to have more on a ballot question in Oronogo about selling the city's natural gas utility. And an area shoe store collects donations of socks that'll be sent to active duty military members and local veterans. Stay with us. CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. It is damp and it is chilly out there now.
And it plans on staying that way for at least a few more days now. At least we'll get a little bit of a break in the action going into tomorrow morning, but with the clouds and more rain chances tomorrow afternoon on the election day for many of us, it's going to mean highs back near 48. We'll go to 48 Wednesday with rain primarily during the morning hours on Wednesday. And even though we'll dry out just in time for the weekend, let's keep an eye on Thursday and Friday morning. Lows in the low to middle 30s by then.
High of 48, even the high.
That's the best we can do.
Yeah, thanks. And thank you for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we'll be right back here at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.